Karen Encinias.
Here.
Alan France.
Here.
Sandra Lundquist. Sherry Moreland.
Here.
Dayla Pearl. Here.
Okay, we'll need action item for approval of absences. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And it's been moved. Do we have a
Can
second?
we do that again?
Second.
Oh,
Okay.
Karen.
Roll call, please.
Karen Encinias.
Aye.
Alan France.
Aye.
Sherry Moreland.
Aye.
Dayla Pearl.
Aye.
Okay. You all stand with me and do the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Sherry, would you read us the mission statement today?
I would like to. Mission of Rocky Ford School District R2 is to ensure individual success and learning of all students with a safe environment.
Okay. Over to the agenda approval and revisions. I noticed we have one.
Yeah, I do have one revision we want to add, just to ratify the decision on the school closure.
Okay. First thing we need to do then is we need a motion to add an action item in the new business section. You've got it in front of you with somebody as the, can you read that motion?
I motion that the R2 board add the agenda item to the new business section as item A, ahead of the other items already listed in that section as recommended.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So the motion is seconded. Roll call, please.
Karen Encinias.
Aye.
Alan France.
Aye.
Sherry Moreland.
Aye.
Dayla Pearl. Aye.
Okay, are there any other revisions? No? Okay. That brings us to communications. Do we have any communication?
No, sir.
No communication. Kermit, aren't you recognition of good things?
Yeah, I have a few I'd like to recognize. First is that we have a trio of teachers, Giselle Rocha, Shelby Price, and Selena Ortiz, that are going through the alternative licensure program this year. And I just wanted to recognize their efforts with that. To qualify for that program, you have to have a bachelor's degree, and you have to be employed full-time. You can't do that without a full-time contract somewhere. And so it's double duty for them, finishing off that coursework at the same time while they're teaching for us. So wanted to thank them for putting forth that effort and getting that done this year, and for their great contributions to the district. And then two others I'd like to recognize, Javier Ortiz and Howard Carter, both for their work on the heat issue at Jefferson, to try to troubleshoot that and make sure that we can go to school and get that fixed as quickly as possible. They both have spent a great deal of time, and honestly, as you see them working on it, you can tell how much they care for the school and how much they care for staff and students. So I sure appreciate the work that they do.
Great. Okay. Well, if you see him, thank him, please. That'd be nice too. We wrote a note, but if you see him, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? That's it? Anybody from the audience or from our board?
I don't know if it's a good thing, but I have a question about these one-word papers that are around the room. What are they? What's it all about?
So there was a little bit of a confusion about who was in charge of decorating the boardroom this month. So we had our second grade team come in today and work diligently to get this set up. And about 4:45 this afternoon, we had our fourth grade team from Jefferson come in. So that's what they did. Their target is what's over there. Over there, and then yeah, it goes with those.
So we have double decorating.
Yeah.
Mom.
Nice. Yeah, those are nice.
Very nice. Anything else? If not, we will move on to our first audience portion. Anybody from the audience would like to say something or need something?
So Jonathan would like me to share out that Jefferson and the high school had a combined performance at Christmas time with the bands. It was phenomenal. There were more people in attendance than we have had in years. So it was really fun to watch. And then David Pentlicki has made Colorado All-State Band. This is the second year in a row for him, but our 5th consecutive year where we have had students qualify for the All-State Band.
Great. And he works so hard, Jonathan does.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all the effort he puts into.
Yeah. And we had Katie Carroll, who is our Gear Up representative, took a group of students right around Christmas time up to see CSU's Spur campus, and we're part of the Alliance, and so then it lets us do all of that. And CSU Fort Collins wrote a very nice article that's on their website about the Spur campus, but then highlighted the tour of our kids up there. And so there's some pictures of our kids exploring the erosion table, and just the experience and what our kids get from that. So I just thought it was really cool that Fort Collins recognized, as they were sharing out, Rocky Fort. It was kind of cool to see it. So it's on their web. If anybody wants the link, I will share it out with you.
Okay. Anything else? Well, we don't have any students for a student board member report, which will bring us to the superintendent's report. Kermit.
Yeah, a few items I'd like to talk about. First is the new scoreboards. So those were installed just before the break. We finished that up over the break, and then we adjusted the huddle camera that we use to live stream sports events. So we had to adjust that so it captured the scoreboard. But Tammy worked on that and it looks nice. And so hopefully people are enjoying it tonight as we're live streaming tonight's games. I don't have it.
Oh.
I've got the board meeting up here.
Excellent.
Yeah. So a couple of reasons why we wanted those new scoreboards. One is because, we were starting to experience some glitches with those old scoreboards and didn't want to end up in an emergency situation where they went down. But the other reason is that we need our scoreboards to be compatible with the shot clock. So the shot clock looks like it's coming for high school basketball, and it's up for approval, but it looks likely like it'll go through, and we would have to implement it for the 2025-2026 season. And
So the shot clock is just an add-on item you buy and hang down the wall.
exactly, it will work. It's compatible with these scoreboards and our control unit that we have. And so shot clock goes up behind both backboards, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, Promethean boards, I've been mentioning that. So we did purchase the Promethean interactive panels for the junior, senior high school, and just wanted to report that we did have those assembled over Christmas break, and so they were delivered to classrooms. So as teachers returned to their classrooms today, they had a new Promethean interactive panel in the classroom.
I think people were very excited
Good.
about those. So
Good.
Are those to be moved to the new school, or they already have them?
So they'll get to keep those because we already purchased some for the elementary. The elementary will take theirs with them.
Okay.
When they move into those new rooms.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit of learning curve on those, but really they're fairly easy. It's you just treat them like a big computer. That's all it is. A computer that's a 72-inch screen. Yeah. So. Head of maintenance position. We did have the 3 finalists that were interviewed right before Christmas break. We, through the interview process, selected Howard Carter as our recommendation. And so his name is on the consent agenda tonight for approval. And so next steps after getting somebody in place is to identify the areas of responsibility for the custodial staff on that new campus, and then make those assignments for custodial staff.
How big will Howard's staff be? Do you know exactly?
I'm down one still.
But you should have it filled, so when you.
Yeah.
So staff of 8, does that
It's
include
like 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have that half that does
5%.
custodian and half,
Yeah.
half bus, but yeah.
Okay.
And then
Good. So he'll have some work ahead of him, trying to balance out all that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely some decisions to come and yeah.
You have to learn how to delegate and follow.
That'll be a learning curve a little bit. Everyone in the same building and
Mhm.
I'm sure
you're
he's
gonna
taking
find
care
your
of it.
spaces and your jobs.
Yeah, and so, and he'll have to get used to, weekly meetings with me, so, yeah, we'll add that, meetings with principals and so we'll add head of maintenance to that list as well. One other piece I did not put on the board agenda, but I wanted to make sure that I announced, so at your places, you'll see a thick, spiral bound, report. And that is our report for our annual audit for the fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2023. And so what we'd like, so we're not required to do the report, so we're kind of moving away from that a little bit, where Andrew or Patrick would stand here and walk through some of them for us. So we won't do that, but instead we did want to at least provide you with the information. Please take a look as much as in depth as you want to go on it. And then next month, I still would feel more comfortable if we did do an action item to approve the findings within the audit. And so, but wanted to give you a chance to see it first, and then next month I'll ask you to go ahead and approve the audit.
A little reading.
Yeah.
You go get your job ready.
No, anything to highlight, Patty?
No.
I think it's all.
Okay, so I should
Yeah, at least bring it back next month, and then if you want me to do something with it, I'll do something with it. Yeah.
Okay. Now we're moving on to the action item, which is the consent agenda. Where Kermit said has all the other stuff in it, including Howard's approval for his being chosen as the head of maintenance. So, has everybody had a chance to look at the consent agenda? Okay.
I motion that you call for a motion.
Yes.
I motion that the R2 board approve the items on the consent agenda as listed on page 1 of the January 9th, 2024 board packet.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, then motion and seconded. Roll call, please.
Karen Encina,
Aye.
Ellen France,
Aye.
Sherry Marlin,
Aye.
Dale Pearl,
Right.
Motion passes. Okay. All right, instructional academic.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific there, just wanted to open up in case there were any highlights from the schools, but,
Well, and you get kind of the sticky note version tonight, because it got past me, and so I saw it in the packet, and I was like, oh, holy moly, okay. So here we go. We're just wrapping up this semester, so we don't have, I have one-on-one meetings with every single teacher to go through their data dive information. So I started those today, and those will happen over the rest of the week and a little bit into next week, where we get to just dig into the data and the summaries that they provide over what their quarterly assessment or semester assessments are. And then we get an opportunity to talk about specific students that might be struggling, talk about what worked well in the classroom for that semester, what kind of changes that they're going to make going into the next semester if there were any concerns that showed up in their data. So those conversations are happening. Since math is our focus under our COMTSS work that we're doing with BOCES, I did pull, we do have all of the students 7 through 12 take the STAR math test. And so they took it right in kind of in the middle part of December. About 63% of our students are making growth. That means that according to STAR, the amount of the number of points that they should gain to keep them in the same percentile or increased percentile. So it's funny because as I went through grade level by grade level, we're hitting right at 67% except for 2 grade levels. And so 12th grade is hard because not all of our 12th graders have a math class. And so the numbers are really small. And so it kind of distorts that because those are the students that are still trying to make up their math credits. And then I took just a quick look at all of the number of students that are at the 40th percentile or above. That's considered the national norm for grade level. And we're at about 57%. And this was just super cursory. I haven't dug into the numbers and played out all of the comparisons and looked to where we were even at the beginning of the year. I just kind of pulled some raw numbers on that. And reading, we only give to 7th and 8th graders because we wanted to wait with at PSAT, SAT going digital starting this year. They have a platform called Blue Book. In Blue Book, we can have the students take a practice assessment for the PSAT, SAT. And if they take the full practice, it will give us what they would score. So the plan is to have the students do that this month so that then teachers know exactly where the students are now and what they need to do to prepare them by the time we're taking those assessments in April.
Is there a way to determine what information we haven't given these students? Is that what you're
Yes,
talking about?
when it comes back with the data, it will show them which areas they are not at level in. So like it might tell them, it's a little broad, so they're gonna have to kind of figure that out, and just knowing, Sue and BJ, they're gonna know what it means way better than I, because my reading is down at K1, 2, 3. And so it'll come back and it'll tell them whether it's vocabulary, word usage, grammar and construction, or comprehension, and whether they're struggling on fictional side and interpretation or allegories. It'll go through and it'll give them all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we get that done and we get that back, then I'll put a more comprehensive something together and bring that back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No more highlights? Okay, we're on to addition or renovation project. Got a report on the boiler replacement and alternatives.
Yeah, a couple updates I wanted to provide. One was just on the boiler replacement, so I reported that CDE gave the go-ahead that we can add the boiler replacement to the project and use project funds.
We did.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's huge, yeah. So I wanted to provide here, when we were providing some information to CDE back in September, October, we did secure an estimate, and so that was in the range of $210,000 to $225,000. Of course, since then, the engineers got a hold of the project and put in place some specific requirements for it, and so this cost is going to go up. But still, we're in the range of about $300,000. And Andy Fiamengo, with our owner's rep with NB5, he had budgeted $400,000. So he says we're within our range, and he feels confident that we're going to be able to then pull this off and stay within budget.
Okay,
So,
when will they do that? During the summer? Or I guess as soon as they get one, they can do that, huh?
yeah, I didn't see it incorporated yet in the project schedule. I need to ask and see when they plan on doing that.
Now, does the boiler provide hot water for the bathrooms and et cetera too, or is that just the heating system? It's fine, that'll make a difference on when they can get it done, and they might have to do it during the summer.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah. And I know, and with that new system, not the entire building actually relies on the boiler for heat.
Okay.
But still, it's significant enough that if that boiler went down, we would have some
We'd be like we are to,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, so a lot of gratitude again toward, Andy and, for working with, our new grant manager at CDE to make sure that this can happen, so super pleased.
And the board would like to thank you for paying attention to things like that and bringing it to their attention to see, because now's the time to ask. When it's all done, they're about ready to pay the last bill. Hey, can we get a new boiler? I don't think so.
Right, yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it. All right.
So that's with the boiler replacement, and then I just wanted to report too that, we did give, Friends and Pittman, over the Christmas break, we gave them the green light on the rest of the alternates. And
So this is everything? We got everything?
That's everything.
Everything's added back to the budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think I reported too, I have a couple of items there that have an asterisk by them that we had already approved.
Right.
The bleachers
Like
and the
the
school board.
bleachers.
There we go, yeah. But, everything else we approved. So, I haven't signed the change orders yet, those should be coming soon. They talked about them today at our owner architect contractor meeting. And, but, all of those will now go in place.
Awesome. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Good, yeah, any other questions about the, construction project? You know, and I failed to mention, Jefferson earlier, I probably should have it in my report. So I know it doesn't deal with the construction project, but, I pushed out a couple of updates, today about, the Jefferson heating issue. Any questions about that? We do have the welder coming in tomorrow to patch up that tank, the leak on the tank. And then once he's done with that, then we'll get the plumber back and reconnect it. My understanding is once we're reconnected, that boiler system just takes a few minutes to get up and running. So, but with that timeline, I do not think I think we'll use the temporary heat all day tomorrow. I don't think we'll have the boiler system up and running by the end of the school day.
Last time we had to do that, it cost us like $4,000 just for temporary heat
Yeah,
for a couple days.
Oh, at Washington?
yeah, and because it was an electrical issue, then they replaced one component, didn't work, so then they went on to the next component, and.
Is that the one where we had to go get parts built in Denver?
Mhm. Yeah, so luckily this one, we know exactly what the problem is, it's that it's leaking, and, we know we found the area where it's leaking out of, and.
Hopefully the tank is in good enough condition around the spot that we can weld to it.
Yeah. Took a picture, if you're interested and wanna see it afterwards.
I would.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's move on to financial management. Patty, our revised budget.
At your places was the spreadsheet, for the revised budget for the 23-24 school year. And then also there is a revised budget appropriations resolution there, that just gives a breakdown of the beginning fund balances and the revenues and expenditures, and then of course the spreadsheet goes line item by line item. The major things in the general fund, is that I added the roof best grant to the general fund. That is a separate grant that we have to track separately from the big project and from what HVAC we just finished. And so I'm running it out of the general fund. After talking to the auditors, they thought that would be fine. But I put the entire grant of $6,061,192 in there because I don't know how much is going to get completed before June 30th. So just to protect ourselves because we can't exceed the budget ever. So
With a big project like that, sometimes the expenses will go fast, so. The entire roof grant is now listed in the general fund, so that's why we went from $9 million to $15 million. There's a few other changes with some other grants, smaller grants that we've received. The state equalization, which is the money that comes from the state, based on our October count, you can see went down is projected to go down about $200,000, and that is because our October count was much lower than anticipated. And that's something we're going to have to watch, because we are still with one last year of a pretty good number that's helping our average to be as good as it is. So that's something we'll have to look at. But they're also talking about changing the formula for state funding. So until that's decided, I don't think there's any need to really worry too much, but just something to be highlighted on. And then everything else is about the same on the general fund. Governmental designated purpose grants, which is your federal program funds. The change is really minute, from $1,085,560 to $1,166,825, and that's just based on some carryover amounts in some of the grants. Capital reserve, I did increase that budget from 165 to 715, and that is all because of the HVAC project finishing out and carrying over from last fiscal year into this fiscal year. That has now been totally finalized out. And so that will cover all of the HVAC grants. Pupil activity, there was no change. Food service, there is no change. Bond redemption fund, there is no change. And building fund, there is no change. Does anybody have any questions?
Now it's time to approve the mill levy. Oh, we do have an action item on the budget, thank you.
Okay. A motion that the R2 board approve the revised 2023-2024 budget as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion second, roll call please.
Karen Eugenius,
Aye.
Alan France,
Aye.
Sherry Moreland,
Aye.
Taylor Crow.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Now we have another action item, the mill levy. Kermit, you want to talk about that or Travis?
Okay, so by law in the state, we are required to have the 27 mills that are collected for the general fund, and so that's our total program mills, and so that's to be expected. What can vary for us is then the mill levy for the bond redemption, and that we had to wait on the numbers a little bit from the state to see how things were landing with the changes in property taxes. So our county assessor is good at getting us information, some draft assessed valuations. Normally it's like August, September, and we got that, and so we had crunched some numbers based off of that. But then, of course, the ballot measure for HH to address property taxes, but it went down. But then they had the special session and changed property taxes anyway with the special session, and so that changed our assessed valuation then, right? Because if you're going to collect less money for those property
And your
taxes,
cap less, right?
then your total amount of your assessed valuation goes down. But our bond redemption still stays the same. So,
That make any difference?
but that's why when the ballot measure goes out, then the ballot measure, you don't actually specify a number of mills, you specify a dollar amount. And you say that you will collect with that. They would approve us to collect up to a certain amount annually to be able to pay that bond redemption. But it's the mills, since mills are a percentage, well then the percentage changes. So it's the same amount regardless of whether we were collecting more property taxes or less property taxes, the dollar amount for our bond redemption stays the same. But since we're collecting less property tax because of the special session that happened with the legislature, that means that the mills think about, so property tax, we went from residential 6.95 to, just looking up the numbers today to make sure I had it right, to 6.765% on residential. Commercial, including agriculture, went from 29% down to 27.9%. So when you're lowering percentages on those property taxes, well, then the assessed valuation falls, which means that the new percentage
Has to rise to be challenging.
So we were at a point where it's gonna be about 7.5 mils, but now, calculating it out, 8.147 mils is what we need for the bond redemption. And Patty double checked those numbers with RBC Financial, through our contact there, and, he verified, said everything looks good, so.
Okay, this is an action item.
Be it resolved that the Rocky Ford School District R2 Board of Education certify the mill levy for the calendar year beginning January 1st, 2024 to the Board of the County Commissioners of Otero County. The R2 Board certifies a total mill levy of 35.177 mils with 27.030 mils collected for general fund and 8.147 mils collected for bond redemption fund.
Since that's a resolution, we still have to have a second and a vote. Do we have a second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Karen Insenius.
Aye.
Alan France.
Aye.
Sherry Moreland.
Aye.
Deanna Pearl.
Aye.
Okay. Let's move on to old business. We're doing old business one. Second reading, discussion, and final vote on all those policies.
Yeah, same policies that we're gonna look at before, and I don't think we made any changes between, the first vote and this final vote.
Okay. This is an action item. We need a motion.
Motion that the R2 board approve the recommended policy changes on the second reading, discussion, and final vote as before.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Karen Insenius.
Aye.
Alan France.
Aye.
Sherry Moreland.
Aye.
Deanna Pearl.
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of old business. New business. Now we need to have a motion to ratify the school closure. We'll do that before the notification of school board meeting. Now we've provided application.
Motion that the, oh, where are you going?
Yeah, we do need a motion.
Okay, motion that the R2 board ratify the school closure on January 8th, 2024 for extreme weather conditions and no heat at Jefferson Intermediate School due to a boiler break-in.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Karen Insenius.
Aye.
Alan France.
Aye.
Sherry Moreland.
Aye.
Deanna Pearl.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We next have another action item, notification of school board meeting.
So annually, we have to, at least have a draft of the dates for the board meetings for the year. And then we have to include in that, where we will advertise or post the information for the meetings.
Okay.
So we have it listed out there. We're sticking with the first Tuesday of, each month. Want to try to take off July if we can, so no regular meeting for July. And then, December and January, both at the second Tuesday. So we can avoid the CASB conference. Hopefully the mill levy certification's back on its normal schedule. That's another reason why we do the second Tuesday in December. And then January, so that we can afford the Christmas break.
Okay.
Motion that the R2 board approve the meeting schedule as presented.
Second?
Second.
Okay. The motion and seconded. Roll call, please.
Karen Insenius.
Aye.
Alan France.
Aye.
Sherry Moreland.
Aye.
Deanna Pearl.
Aye.
Okay. As usual, if anybody's got more than What is it now? I didn't read it.
The big bucks.
75 now.
Big bag got marked $75, disclose it now. Okay. Next is a report on legislative happenings, that's always interesting.
School Finance Task Force wrapped up, with our final recommendations. We did remove the, sparsity factor that I was displeased with. So that's out, and so they adjusted a little bit more the remoteness factor and the rural factor, size factor. And that helped us out quite a bit. Things look a lot better in terms of where Rocky Ford would land with that formula. Not all the districts ended up in the plus, but I do think it makes better sense the way it sits. If you look at how it would be dispersed across the districts, it is clear that that formula would more accurately address student need. So some districts that were receiving quite a bit of money just because of their zip code, their location in the state, would not receive as much funding through this new formula because the formula would follow student need rather than how affluent the community is.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm pleased with it. I really like where it landed. A final report is being drafted. That will be given to the legislature. I have a draft of that report already, and then we have one last meeting on Friday to go over the particulars of that report, and then my role on that task force is done. But I will reach out to our legislators to offer any information about the task force and the decisions that were made, and encourage their support. Of course, if that ever is put into place, we would need more revenue in the state to make that happen. But of course, that's the role of the legislature, not the role of the task force. So
Now this task force, does it have other superintendents from small rural schools?
Yes, there were two others from small rural schools at the center, superintendent Larry Zimmerman, and then superintendent from Gunnison, Leslie Nichols.
And then the Rural Alliance, did they have anything to do with it? Or?
They kept an eye on it, and at one point in time there was a letter that was drafted between Rural Alliance, Colorado School Finance Project, and CASE, and they sent it to all finance task force members and encouraged certain things. I actually didn't agree with the letter. So I pushed back on it, and in the Rural Alliance meeting, and I didn't think that was right to put that stamp of approval on it when
Well, it wasn't there yet.
yeah, we're a member of all three organizations, and yet I didn't agree with it. And so I didn't feel like it was right to put their stamp of approval on it and push it out. Mainly because they were saying, let's not change at risk. Let's wait to have these other conversations until we get some more data. And we have the opportunity to talk now. Why wait longer? And with at risk, no way was I going to agree to what was being recommended with at risk. At risk was going to be, remember, at risk is the way that the state calls students that come from poverty. And all students were going to receive an at-risk factor regardless of income from the family. And that made absolutely no sense to me.
Common sense.
Yeah, so I pushed pretty hard on that, and so they actually backtracked and didn't push that letter out anymore. But I think we're at a spot where we agreed for the most part. Leslie Nichols and I had a little bit different opinion, but just because I'm okay with a little more competition between charter, private, and public school than what she is. And so she was worried about the trend toward seeing more charter schools, more private schools. I'm not as worried about that. Public schools are always going to exist. And I think parents should have some choice. So I wasn't really worried about that. And that's why she and I landed on different sides sometimes. But for the most part, honestly, it was good to have them. And I Stop working for them already.
Okay, that was a very nice report, thank you. Future agenda items, anyone? I can't think of any either. Okay, it's time for our second audience portion. Anybody in the audience like to say anything else? Okay. Dana, what would you give us for assessment today?
I would have to go with a 10.
Wonderful.
Record time.
7:40.
Alan. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Take your book home.
Take your